What if I told you that the key to building the next billion-dollar corporation, or perhaps the next powerful global movement, has very little to do with the product and everything to do with the structure? This isn't just theoretical analysis. Decades ago, a group of clever sociology students conducted an experiment that proved this idea, demonstrating how easily people can be persuaded to join a movement, even if it is entirely fictional. Their goal was to test the fundamental human need for structure and belonging, which often guides us toward accepting powerful, well-organized systems. Today, on Legacy Archives, we are examining this peculiar campus experiment to understand how readily people accept a powerful narrative and how easily these structures can be manipulated. If you are a keen observer of business, you need to watch until the end, because the blueprints for corporate loyalty and ideological commitment are often identical. The setting for this deep dive is a seemingly ordinary American university campus during a time of great social change. The creators of the experiment were a small group of ambitious sociology students. They were not aiming to trick anyone for simple fun. Their objective was scientific, to test the psychological limits of group acceptance and belief formation. Could they create a completely fake, yet compelling, belief system from nothing and get intelligent, critical university students to genuinely commit to it? They hypothesized that if the structure was compelling enough, the content would almost become secondary. This challenge established the core environment of the experiment, setting the stage for what would become a fascinating, and perhaps worrying, insight into human nature. Building any successful organization, whether it's a Fortune 500 company or a powerful movement, requires meticulous strategic planning. The student founders understood this completely. They didn't just invent random ideas. They carefully designed every component to ensure the fictional religion felt important and legitimate. They began by establishing rigid rules, a clear hierarchy of authority, and specific rituals. These structural components were necessary because they signaled stability and seriousness to potential followers. Just like a successful startup needs a defined product and a clear corporate structure, this product of belief needed a professional framework. But making it feel legitimate wasn't just about rules, it was about language. The founders invented unique, complex terminology that only members understood. This exclusive language served a vital function. It created a boundary between the insiders and the outsiders, instantly elevating the perceived value of the group. If you had to learn a special vocabulary just to participate, the movement must be important, right? This sophisticated approach wasn't accidental. It was the deliberate marketing of structure itself, focusing on branding and internal culture over verifiable truth. Wait until we see how they used exclusivity to drive commitment in the next segment. In the world of luxury goods, scarcity drives demand. In the world of ideology, exclusivity drives commitment. The founders did not use mass marketing or put up posters across campus. Instead, they adopted subtle, highly targeted recruitment strategies. They focused on personal, one-on-one invitations extended quietly in places like libraries and common rooms. Receiving an invitation immediately created a sense of privilege and importance for the early members. This wasn't something just anyone could join. You had to be selected, indicating that you possessed some special, yet undefined, quality. This deliberate use of exclusivity quickly established powerful in-group versus out-group dynamics. Once a student was accepted, they felt bonded not only to the belief system, but fiercely loyal to their fellow members. This social commitment made it much harder to question the fundamental principles of the movement. Just like a successful company uses exclusive internal lingo and rituals to foster a strong corporate culture, these students created loyalty by ensuring membership felt like a rare asset. If you appreciate deep dives into the mechanics of power and persuasion, hit that subscribe button. It helps Legacy Archives bring you more exclusive stories about how empires are truly built. Now we reach the central paradox. Why did intelligent, often skeptical, university students commit to such a strange new movement? The experiment tapped into a fundamental human vulnerability. University life is often defined by intellectual uncertainty and existential confusion. The fictional belief system offered immediate, clear answers and certainty in a complex, ambiguous world. This sense of immediate clarity, packaged within a legitimate-looking structure, fulfilled a fundamental human need that powerful organizations often exploit. The students weren't looking for proof. They were looking for peace of mind. The actual benefits participants believed they were receiving went far beyond the fictional doctrine. They gained defined social roles, escaping the pressure of having to find their own identity. They were given a sense of higher purpose, feeling they were part of something much bigger than themselves. And most importantly, they received a guaranteed community, a supportive, dedicated network of fellow believers. For many students, the emotional and social rewards of belonging far outweighed any logical doubts about the belief system's foundation. This structure delivered tangible social value, making the movement incredibly sticky. As the experiment gathered momentum, the founders faced a challenge familiar to every successful startup: managing rapid organizational growth. What started as a small informal study suddenly required robust infrastructure. They had to transition from a small team of students to administrators of a growing organization. This meant assigning new leadership roles, creating internal committees, and defining processes for handling communication and new member onboarding. Without this sudden scaling of structure, the entire movement would have collapsed under its own weight, regardless of how compelling the initial idea was. Maintaining consistency was critical. When an enterprise scales quickly, whether it's a nonprofit or a burgeoning tech company, the original mission can easily get diluted. The founders countered this by conducting frequent, structured meetings and ensuring all new members were rigorously trained in the specific rituals and terminology. This adherence to internal consistency solidified the movement's legitimacy for both the old and new members, proving that structure is the necessary foundation that prevents organizational collapse during expansion. The larger they grew, the more real the fake religion felt. Drawing directly from the creators of the experiment offers primary insight into their methodology. They confirmed that the most effective persuasion techniques were never logical arguments, but emotional and social ones. They deliberately used ambiguity to encourage participants to fill in the blanks themselves, thereby taking personal ownership of the belief. They learned that asking a member to make a small sacrifice, like giving up a Saturday afternoon for a meeting, increased their commitment exponentially. Once a person invests time and social capital, it becomes much harder for them to admit the investment was based on fiction. Founders admitted their astonishment. The experiment succeeded far beyond their expectations, both in terms of membership numbers and the depth of commitment. This unexpected success forced them to navigate difficult ethical boundaries, realizing the profound power they wielded. The moment they understood that students were willing to restructure their lives around this invented reality was the turning point. But here's the thing. These profound insights aren't just for sociologists. They are the core lessons in building corporate influence. This is the core analysis linking the experiment back to our channel's focus on corporate legacies. The tactics used to market this fake religion are identical to strategies employed by successful businesses today. Think about brand identity creation. That unique terminology and those exclusive rituals are no different from corporate culture, onboarding, or even expensive retreats meant to foster internal loyalty. Successful companies, just like this movement, depend on convincing stakeholders, employees, consumers, investors, to accept a compelling narrative. The founders successfully turned early members into active promoters, often the most effective sales force an organization can have. In business, this is the power of a dedicated customer base or an employee who truly believes in the company's mission. The mechanism of persuasion, therefore, is industry agnostic. It's not about truth. It's about providing structure, certainty, and a powerful community. Now, this makes you think about how your own company operates. Let me know in the comments below. What are some specific internal structures or terms your business uses that foster loyalty, much like this fictional movement? Finally, the founders made the decision to conclude the study before it caused any long-term damage. The experiment came to a dramatic, abrupt end when the architects revealed the complete truth to the participants that the entire movement, the history, the rules, and the purpose had been entirely fabricated for a sociology project. This moment provided the most critical data point of the entire study: the strength of ideological commitment. The participants' reactions were complex. While some were deeply embarrassed and others were shocked, a significant portion reacted with denial and anger. They had invested substantial time, emotion, and social capital into this group. Admitting they were persuaded by a fiction created intense psychological discomfort, what researchers call cognitive dissonance. It was easier for some to question the researchers' honesty than to accept the painful reality that they had been fundamentally wrong. This shows how difficult it is for people to abandon a narrative once they have accepted the structure. The long-term effects of this study provided a powerful, if cautionary, lesson. The researchers' conclusion was definitive: structure, narrative, and community often matter more than objective truth when building a following. This social experiment demonstrated human susceptibility to any organization that promises certainty and belonging, whether that organization is a financial titan built on a compelling investment narrative, or a new tech company promising to disrupt the industry. The success often relies on the structural integrity and emotional benefits it provides, rather than just the facts. So, what does this campus movement teach keen observers of business and finance? It underscores that powerful corporate culture and successful long-term strategy are fundamentally systems of collective belief. They rely on convincing employees, consumers, and investors to accept a shared narrative about value and mission. The structures they build, the titles, the processes, the mission statements, are essential tools of persuasion. This study emphasizes the necessity of critical thinking when evaluating any organization. We must always ask ourselves, am I committed to the objective reality, or have I simply bought into the structure and the community it provides? From a simple campus project, we've uncovered a profound truth. Whether you're building a highly profitable corporation or a widely followed movement, structure and community often conquer objective truth. Recognizing these persuasion mechanisms is the first step toward becoming a better observer of corporate power. If you found the strategic parallels compelling, remember to subscribe to Legacy Archives for more exclusive deep dives into the mechanics of wealth and influence. Like this video to support our work, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next analysis. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next archive.